The morning sun beat down on Maria Rodriguez's small flower farm in the heart of Sonora Valley, Mexico. After 3 generations of cultivating the region's most beautiful roses, the Rodriguez family thought they'd seen everything their peaceful corner of the world could offer. But when Maria started noticing suspicious vehicles lingering near their farm's water wells, she had no idea her curiosity would thrust her into the crosshairs of the notorious Azteca cartel. Now bound and guarded in a remote cartel compound, Maria faced the consequences of discovering their hidden water poisoning operation. But Alejandro Salazar and his ruthless crew had made one fatal miscalculation. They thought they were dealing with just another farmer's daughter who knew too much. They had no idea that the quiet 19-year-old they'd kidnapped was the beloved niece of Master Sergeant Jake Torres, one of the deadliest Delta Force operators in U.S. military history. Some mistakes you only make once, and underestimating a Delta operator's family ties was about to become the Azteca cartel's last. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The sprawling flower fields of Rancho Rodriguez painted the Sonora Valley in vibrant stripes of color, a family legacy that Maria cherished every morning as she made her inspection rounds. The 3rd-generation flower farmer had learned every aspect of the business from her father, including the critical importance of their ancient well system that kept their precious blooms alive through Mexico's unforgiving summers. That's why she immediately noticed when the water pressure dropped in the western fields. "Papa, something's wrong with well 4 again," she called out to her father, Eduardo, who was trimming roses nearby. The slight pressure change might have escaped others' notice, but Maria had developed an almost supernatural sense for their farm's rhythms. "Probably just sediment build-up," Eduardo replied, wiping sweat from his weathered brow. "I'll have Miguel check it tomorrow." But Maria's instincts told her something else was wrong. The past week had brought strange changes to their peaceful valley. Unmarked trucks moving at night, unfamiliar men claiming to be from the water authority, and most worryingly, their neighbors' livestock falling mysteriously ill after drinking from the shared aquifer. As the sun began to set, Maria made one final check of well 4. The security lights cast long shadows across the property as she approached the pump house. That's when she noticed the padlock had been tampered with, fresh scratch marks around the keyhole. Inside, her flashlight beam revealed something that made her blood run cold: strange chemical containers connected to the well's main line. She quickly photographed everything with her phone, hands trembling. Whatever was happening here went far beyond simple water theft. As she turned to leave, voices outside froze her in place. "The boss wants all wells in the valley treated by next week," a harsh voice declared. "Anyone who notices gets dealt with, permanently." Maria's heart pounded as she recognized the voice. Diego Salazar, nephew of the notorious cartel leader Alejandro Salazar. The Azteca cartel's presence had been growing in the region, but this was the first concrete evidence of their operations so close to home. She carefully sent the photos to her encrypted cloud storage, a security measure her Uncle Jake had insisted upon during his last visit. Master Sergeant Jake Torres might have been stationed thousands of miles away with his Delta Force unit, but his protective influence touched every aspect of his family's life. Making her way back to the farmhouse, Maria debated whether to call the police. Local law enforcement was notoriously corrupt, and she had no way of knowing who was already on the cartel's payroll. Instead, she decided to gather more evidence first. The next morning, she convinced her friend Anna, who worked at the regional water quality office, to test samples from well 4. "Maria, these chemical levels are off the charts," Anna reported hours later, her voice shaking. "This isn't just contamination, it's deliberate poisoning. The compounds match those used in drug production. They're using your water table as a chemical disposal system." Before Maria could process this information, she noticed a black SUV pulling up to the water office. Through the window, she recognized Diego Salazar's men. "Anna, burn those test results. Delete everything. They're coming." But it was too late. As Maria slipped out the back door, she heard shouting from inside the office, followed by the sound that would haunt her. Anna's scream cut short by a gunshot. Maria ran, her athletic build and intimate knowledge of the valley's back roads keeping her ahead of her pursuers. She managed to reach her uncle's hidden satellite phone, another of his security preparations. With trembling fingers, she dialed the emergency number he'd made her memorize. The call connected to a secure military line. "Uncle Jake, there. After me, the Azteca cartel. They're poisoning the valley's water. Anna's dead. They're coming." A sharp pain exploded in her shoulder as the first taser barb hit. Master Sergeant Jake Torres was conducting a training exercise at Fort Bragg when the emergency alert came through. The veteran Delta operator had survived countless missions across the globe, but nothing had prepared him for hearing his niece's terrified voice cut off mid-sentence. Within minutes, he'd accessed Maria's cloud storage, reviewing the chemical evidence she'd discovered. His tactical mind quickly pieced together the cartel's operation. They were using the valley's extensive well system to dispose of drug, manufacturing byproducts, poisoning the water table while hiding their production facilities in plain sight. "Sir, we've got a situation," his second-in-command reported. "Mexican intelligence confirms increased Azteca cartel activity in the Sonora Valley. They've taken control of multiple water sources." Jake's voice carried the cold precision of a man who'd spent decades conducting high-stakes operations. "Get me everything you have on Alejandro Salazar's compound locations, and contact our DEA liaison. I want satellite coverage of every well in that valley." As he prepared for the most personal mission of his career, Jake remembered teaching young Maria about situational awareness, insisting she learn security protocols that seemed excessive for a flower farmer. Now, those same preparations might give him the edge he needed to save her life, because the Azteca cartel was about to learn what every other adversary had discovered too late. You don't threaten a Delta operator's family and live to regret it. Their mistake wasn't just kidnapping an innocent farmer's daughter. They'd taken the one person whose disappearance would unleash the full fury of America's most elite warriors. And as the sun set over the Sonora Valley, Master Sergeant Jake Torres began calling in favors from a lifetime of covert operations, preparing to remind the cartel why Delta Force operators were considered the deadliest hunters in human history. Inside the Azteca cartel's mountain compound, Maria struggled to maintain consciousness as Diego Salazar's men secured her to a metal chair. The combination of the taser's after-effects and whatever they'd injected into her arm made the room spin sickeningly. Through blurred vision, she noted details about her surroundings, just as Uncle Jake had taught her. 3 guards, 2 exits, surveillance cameras in the corners. "The little flower farmer knows too much," Diego sneered, examining her phone's shattered screen. "But don't worry. We'll find out exactly what you discovered and who you told." He paused, studying a photo on the wall, Maria with her uncle at her quinceañera. "Who's the American soldier?" Maria stayed silent, remembering Jake's lessons. About captivity. Give them nothing. Stay aware. Look for opportunities. The cartel lieutenant's interest in that photo meant they hadn't yet identified her uncle, a crucial advantage. In his private command center at Fort Bragg, Master Sergeant Jake Torres was already mobilizing resources. His decades in Delta Force had built a network of contacts across every agency and branch of service. "Thompson, what do we have on Salazar's operation?" Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. DEA Special Agent Emma Thompson's voice crackled through secure comms. Azteca cartels been expanding aggressively in Sonora. They're using legitimate agricultural operations as cover for massive drug production. The water table poisoning your niece discovered? It's not just disposal. They're contaminating wells to force farmers off their land, consolidating territory. Jake studied satellite imagery of the valley, his tactical mind processing variables. Those chemical signatures Maria documented, match them against known cartel labs. "Already on it," Thompson replied. "But Jake, this goes deeper than Azteca. We're seeing connections to corrupt officials, international chemical suppliers. Your niece stumbled onto something big." Through his earpiece, Jake heard his team coordinating. Lieutenant Chen's voice carried urgency. "Sir, Mexican military units are mobilizing in the valley, but satellite shows they're avoiding cartel checkpoints. They're compromised." "Whole regions corrupt," Thompson confirmed. "Local police, military, commanders, water authority. Salazar's got them all bought. That's why they moved so fast when Maria started asking questions." Back in the compound, Diego circled Maria's chair, his frustration growing at her silence. "You think you're brave, girl? Everyone talks eventually. Those chemicals you found, they're just the surface. By the time we're done, the entire valley will belong to us." One of the guards entered carrying files. "Boss, found something. She's connected to a U.S. military officer, special forces or something similar." Diego's expression darkened. "The uncle in the photo. Find out everything about him now." Maria felt a surge of pride. Uncle Jake's paranoia about operational security meant they'd find nothing useful in official channels. But she knew she had to stay alive long enough for help to arrive. Each minute she stayed silent was another minute Jake had to mobilize. At Fort Bragg, Jake's team expanded as fellow operators volunteered for the unauthorized rescue mission. These men had fought together across the world's deadliest battlefields, but this was different. This was family. "Sir," Lieutenant Chen reported, "got 3 potential locations for Maria based on cartel movement patterns. Primary target is a compound in the Sierra Madre foothills. Satellite thermal imaging shows increased activity." Thompson's voice carried urgent news. "Jake, Azteca's calling in reinforcements. They're moving serious firepower into the valley. Whatever Maria discovered, they're preparing for trouble." "They should be," Jake replied coldly. "Emma, I need everything you have on Salazar's security protocols. Chen, get our gear loaded. We move in 4 hours. "Jake," Thompson warned, "this isn't just about Maria anymore. We're seeing signs of a major cartel operation. They're using the poisoned wells to create a humanitarian crisis, forcing international aid organizations to establish camps in the valley. Perfect cover for drug distribution, Jake concluded. Aid shipments provide legitimate transport routes. Corrupt officials ensure no real investigation. And desperate refugees become a disposable workforce. In the compound, Maria watched Diego receive a phone call that made him pace nervously. She'd learned to read people from years of negotiating with flower buyers. Something had spooked him. "Get more men up here," he barked into his phone, "and find out who her uncle is. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." Maria allowed herself a small smile. She knew what they were dealing with, a Delta Force operator who'd spent his life preparing for exactly this kind of mission. Uncle Jake had taught her that true strength wasn't about physical power, but about mental preparation and unwavering determination. Through secure channels, Thompson coordinated with trusted Mexican federal agents. "We've got confirmation," she told Jake. Maria's discovery exposed their whole operation. The cartels using the water crisis to control territory, establish distribution networks, and eliminate local opposition. Jake's voice carried deadly focus as he briefed his team. "Maria's not just a hostage. She's a witness to an international criminal conspiracy. Salazar won't let her live once he realizes what she knows." Lieutenant Chen studied tactical displays. "Sir, cartels setting up additional checkpoints throughout the valley. They're creating a military-style defensive perimeter." "Won't help them," Jake replied. "You know why Delta operators are the most feared soldiers in history? Because we don't just break through defenses, we turn them against their owners." In the compound, Maria caught fragments of worried conversation between guards. Words, like Delta Force and Black Ops, drifted through their radio chatter. They were starting to realize their mistake. Diego burst back in, his composure cracking. "Your uncle, he's more than just a soldier, isn't he? What exactly does he do in the U.S. military?" Maria met his gaze steadily. "He taught me that. Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being absolutely terrified, but doing what's right anyway." The cartel lieutenant's phone buzzed repeatedly as reports came in of unusual movements throughout the valley. Military-grade communications were being jammed. Surveillance cameras were going dark. Checkpoints weren't responding to radio calls. "Sir," a guard reported nervously, "we're getting reports of power failures at multiple facilities. Someone's systematically taking down our security infrastructure." Jake's team moved with precision, earned through countless missions. But this wasn't just another operation. This was about family, about protecting the innocent from those who'd poison their land and destroy their lives for profit. "Thompson," Jake called through secure comms, "status on cartel response?" "They're panicking," Emma replied with satisfaction. "Your reputations preceded you. Salazar's calling every corrupt official in his pocket, but no one wants to face Delta Force for him." Lieutenant Chen's voice carried professional appreciation. "Sir, Maria's doing everything right. She's staying calm, gathering intelligence, buying us time. You trained her well." "She's a Rodriguez," Jake replied proudly. "That family's survived. 3 generations working the hardest land in Sonora. They don't break easily." In the compound, Maria continued her silent observation as the cartel's confidence crumbled. Uncle Jake had taught her that victory often went to those who could stay focused while others panicked. She watched Diego's growing fear with the patience of a farmer who knew that even the hardest ground eventually yields to persistent effort. Because the Azteca cartel was about to learn what every flower in the Rodriguez fields knew, that true strength grows not from poisoned water and corrupt power, but from roots anchored deep in family, honor, and unshakable determination. The first breaching charge detonated at precisely 2:47 a.m., sending shockwaves through the Azteca cartel's mountain compound. In the holding room, Maria felt the vibration through her chair and allowed herself a small smile. Uncle Jake had arrived, and he'd brought the fury of Delta Force with him. Diego Salazar burst into the room, his earlier arrogance replaced by barely controlled panic. "Move her to the backup location, now!" But before his men could reach Maria, the compound's lights went dark, plunging everything into perfect blackness. "Auxiliary powers not responding," a guard reported nervously. "Someone's hacked our systems." "They're not just hackers," Maria said quietly, speaking for the first time in hours. "You wanted to know about my uncle. He spent 20 years teaching Delta Force operators how to turn Cartel's own security against them. Those cameras you used to watch me, now they're giving him a real-time feed of every move you make." Through his tactical comms, Master Sergeant Jake Torres coordinated the assault with orchestral precision. "Chen, status on their communications." "Completely isolated," Lieutenant Chen replied from his position at the valley's communications hub. "Their phones are dead, radios are jammed, and surveillance systems are under our control. They're blind and deaf." Special Agent Thompson's voice carried satisfaction. "Jake, you need to see this." Maria's cloud upload included more than just chemical evidence. She mapped their entire water poisoning operation, every contaminated, every forced property seizure, every corrupt official who helped them. Inside the compound, Diego's men jumped at shadows as tactical teams methodically cleared each sector. These weren't ordinary soldiers. They moved like ghosts, neutralizing guards with supernatural efficiency. "Contact front," Chen reported calmly. 6 hostiles in the east wing, switching to thermal imaging. The sound of precise gunfire echoed briefly, then silence. "Sector clear. Moving to support primary team." Maria felt the shift in the room's energy as Diego's remaining men realized they were trapped. These hardened cartel soldiers had faced federal police, rival gangs, and Mexican special forces, but nothing had prepared them for Delta Force operators hunting one of their own. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," Diego snarled at Maria, his fear making him dangerous. "Your uncle's team might be elite, but we've got an army in this valley. Every corrupt official, every bought cop, every—" "That's where—" "You're wrong," Maria interrupted, channeling her uncle's steady confidence. "A true warrior doesn't need an army. My uncle taught me that real strength comes from absolute dedication to what's right. Each operator on his team would face your entire cartel alone if necessary, because they're fighting for something bigger than themselves." Through secure comms, Thompson provided critical updates. "Jake, cartel reinforcements are trying to reach the compound, but they're encountering some unexpected resistance. Seems the local farmers aren't staying quiet anymore. They're blocking roads, sabotaging vehicles, buying you time." Lieutenant Chen's voice carried professional appreciation. "Makes sense, sir. Maria's discovery about the water poisoning, it didn't just expose the cartel's operation. It showed people they weren't powerless. Sometimes one person standing up gives others the courage to fight back." In the darkness, Diego's phone buzzed one final time. The message from his uncle Alejandro Salazar was brief. "You're on your own. No one crosses Delta Force for family business." The first flashbang grenade turned night into day, disorienting the remaining guards. Through the chaos, Maria heard the impossible silence of Delta operators moving with lethal grace. Each impact, Each precision shot represented years of training, distilled into perfect execution. Target building secured, Chen reported. Moving to Maria's location now. Diego made one final desperate move, pulling Maria's chair toward him as a shield. "Stay back, I'll kill her." "No, you won't," came a voice from the shadows. Steady, confident, absolutely certain. Master Sergeant Jake Torres stepped into view, his weapon trained with unwavering precision. "Because you've already made every mistake a cartel can make. You threatened the wrong family, you poisoned the wrong valley, and you're pointing a gun at the wrong Delta operator's niece." In that moment, Maria saw why her uncle's reputation inspired such fear in America's enemies. It wasn't his weapon or his training, it was the absolute clarity of purpose in his eyes. This was a man who'd spent decades honing himself into a perfect instrument of justice, who dedicated his life to protecting others from exactly this kind of evil. "Your empire's finished," Jake continued calmly. "Those farmers you tried to drive out, they're retaking their land. Those officials you bribed, they're competing to turn evidence. That poison you poured into the valley's heart, it's being cleaned up by people who actually love this land." Diego's gun hand trembled as the full impact of his situation hit him. He wasn't just facing one Delta operator. He was facing everything that Delta Force represented. The unshakable commitment to justice, the protection of the innocent, the absolute mastery of modern warfare. "Maria," Jake called softly, "remember what I taught you about pressure points?" A smile crossed Maria's face as she drove her elbow precisely into Diego's solar plexus, just as Jake had shown her years ago. The cartel lieutenant's grip loosened, just enough for her to slip free, leaving him exposed to Jake's perfect shot. As Delta operators secured the compound, Maria hugged her uncle tightly. "I knew you'd come. That's why I left you the evidence in the cloud, why I documented everything." "You did more than survive," Jake said proudly. "You turned their own arrogance against them, showed that real strength isn't about muscles or guns. It's about never backing down from what's right." Through tactical comms, Thompson provided updates on the operation's wider impact. Cartel's entire infrastructure is collapsing. Local communities are rising up, refusing to be intimidated. Mexican federal agents are moving in to secure evidence. This isn't just about one compound anymore. It's become a revolution against corruption. Lieutenant Chen reported from his position, "Sir, satellite shows cartel forces retreating throughout the valley. They're realizing that all their guns and money mean nothing against people fighting for their homes." As the sun rose over the Sonora Valley, Maria stood with her uncle watching federal agents process the evidence she'd gathered. The cartel's poison operation had been meant to destroy her community, but instead it had awakened something stronger. The unshakable courage that comes from fighting for what you love. "You know what makes Delta Force special?" Jake asked her quietly. "It's not our training or our equipment. It's understanding that true victory isn't about destroying enemies. It's about protecting what matters. You proved that by standing up to them, by refusing to let them poison your home." The morning light caught the flowers in the Rodriguez fields, their colors more vibrant than ever. These blooms had survived drought, storms, and now cartel poison, growing stronger through each challenge. Like the family that tended them, they proved that the most beautiful things could grow from the hardest struggles. Because in the end, the Azteca cartel had made the most fundamental mistake possible. They'd assumed that power came from fear and violence. They never understood that real strength grows from love of family, dedication to community, and the absolute refusal to back down when fighting for what's right. And as Maria walked back toward her family's farm, she knew that her valley would bloom again, stronger and more beautiful than ever, nourished not by poisoned wells, but by the courage of people who'd finally stood up and said, "Enough." The investigation at the Azteca compound revealed depths of corruption that even Master Sergeant Jake Torres hadn't anticipated. As federal agents processed evidence from the cartel's command center, a pattern emerged that went far beyond simple drug trafficking. "Jake, you need to see this," Thompson called, examining files from Diego's computer. The water poisoning operation. It wasn't just about forcing farmers off their land. They were testing chemical weapons. Maria, now helping document evidence, with her intimate knowledge of the valley's water systems, felt her blood run cold. The patterns in our livestock deaths, the way the contamination spread, they were mapping how different toxins moved through the aquifer. Lieutenant Chen studied satellite data of the region. "Sir, we're finding similar testing sites across 3 states. The cartel was developing expertise in water supply attacks, planning to sell the technology to terrorist organizations." Through the compound's windows, Jake watched more federal agents arrive as the investigation expanded. His niece's courage hadn't just exposed a cartel operation. She'd uncovered an international weapons development program hiding behind drug trafficking. The agricultural cover was perfect, Thompson explained, reviewing seized documents. Who questions chemical runoff in farming regions? They could test different toxins, document spread patterns, analyze casualty rates, all while looking like normal cartel activity. Maria examined water test results with growing horror. These compounds, they're designed to be undetectable until it's too late. If we hadn't noticed the pressure changes in our wells. "You did more than notice," Jake said proudly. "You documented everything, created evidence they couldn't bury. That's why they came after you so hard. You weren't just a witness to drug trafficking. You had proof of chemical weapons development." Through secure comms, Chen reported disturbing findings. "Sir, cartel communications show they were close to their first major weapon sale. Terrorist cells in 3 countries were bidding for the technology." The compound's evidence room told the story. Alongside normal cartel equipment, guns, money counters, surveillance gear, sat sophisticated chemical analysis tools and water testing equipment. This wasn't just a drug operation, it was a weapons research facility. "They chose your valley for a reason," Thompson told Maria. "Isolated location, corrupt officials, and a complex aquifer system perfect for testing how toxins spread through water tables. Your family's farm was at the heart of their research zone." Maria studied maps of the valley's water system, her farmer's knowledge providing crucial insight. "Look at these test sites. They're all positioned where multiple water sources converge." They were learning how to maximize contamination spread. Jake's tactical mind processed the implications. This goes beyond the Azteca cartel. Someone with serious chemistry background designed these compounds. They were developing a whole new class of water-based weapons. Through the command center's windows, more specialized federal units arrived. Chemical weapons experts, environmental teams, international investigators. What had started as a rescue mission had exposed a threat to global security. "Sir," Chen reported, "found their buyer list. Terror cells, rebel groups, even some foreign military organizations. Everyone wanting the capability to poison entire regions through their water supply." Maria helped federal agents understand the valley's complex hydrology. Years of farming had taught her how water moved through the region's ancient aquifers. These test sites, they weren't random. They were mapping how toxins could spread through natural water flow. Thompson coordinated with international agencies, getting movement on diplomatic channels. Every country with a water security concern wants access to this evidence. The cartel didn't just develop weapons, they created a whole new category of terror threat. Jake watched his niece work with investigators, her knowledge of the land proving invaluable. She'd transformed from victim to crucial expert, helping authorities understand exactly how the cartel had turned her valley into a weapons testing ground. The thing about water, Maria explained to federal agents, is that it connects everything. Poison one source, and it spreads through natural channels to contaminate entire regions. The cartel was learning to turn nature itself into a weapon. Through secure channels, Chen reported more discoveries. Sir found their research data. They weren't just testing toxins, they were developing delivery systems disguised as normal agricultural equipment. Anyone could poison a region's water supply while appearing to be ordinary farmers. The investigation expanded as more evidence emerged. Each new discovery revealed how the cartel had twisted agricultural knowledge into weapons research. They'd turned farmers' understanding of water systems against the very communities that depended on them. Your valley was their proving ground, Thompson told Maria. Every poisoned well, every dead animal, every sick child, they documented it all, creating a blueprint for how to weaponize water supplies. But Maria saw something else in the evidence, the strength of communities fighting back. Look, at these reports, she pointed out. They complain about locals sharing information, warning each other about contaminated wells. Even while being poisoned, people found ways to protect each other. Jake studied cartel communications with professional appreciation. They had money, weapons, corrupt officials, but they couldn't break the community's spirit. That's why they failed. Real power isn't about causing fear, it's about inspiring hope. Through tactical comms, Chen reported from the valley, "Sir, local farmers are already organizing to clean up contaminated wells. They're not waiting for government help. They're taking back their water sources." The evidence painted a picture of technological sophistication perverted toward evil ends. The cartel had hired chemists, hydrologists, agricultural experts, all to develop more effective ways of poisoning water supplies. But they made one crucial mistake, Maria noted, reviewing their research. They studied water systems, but forgot about people. They thought poisoning our wells would break us. Instead, it made us stronger. Thompson coordinated with environmental teams beginning the cleanup. It's not just about removing toxins anymore. We need to understand their whole research program, make sure these weapons can't be replicated. Jake watched more local farmers arrive, volunteering to help document contaminated sites. The cartel had tried to use their agricultural knowledge for weapons development, but that same knowledge was now being used to heal the land. "You see why they failed?" he asked Maria. "They thought power came from creating fear, but real strength comes from communities standing together, from people refusing to be broken." Through secure channels, Chen reported a shift in the valley. "Sir, getting reports from all sectors. Farmers are sharing clean water sources, helping test contaminated wells, teaching each other about warning signs. The cartel's weapons program didn't destroy them. it united them. The investigation had exposed a new kind of threat, the weaponization of agricultural knowledge against the very communities that depended on it. But it had also revealed something more powerful, the unbreakable spirit of people fighting to protect their land. The cartel studied water because it connects everything, Maria explained to investigators. But they forgot that communities are connected too. Every farmer who stands up, every well that gets cleaned, every field that blooms again, it gives others the courage to fight back. As the sun set over the Sonora Valley, Jake watched his niece coordinate with local farmers, sharing her knowledge to help protect water sources. The cartel had tried to turn her agricultural expertise into a weapon. Instead, she was using it to help heal her community. Because in the end, the Azteca cartel had made the most fundamental mistake possible. They'd assumed that knowledge was power, that technology could break the human spirit. They never understood that true strength grows not from weapons development, but from people coming together to protect what matters most. And as more communities joined the fight to reclaim their water sources, the valley proved what Maria had known all along, that the most powerful force isn't fear or corruption, but the unwavering courage of people standing together to defend their home. The scale of international response to the Azteca cartel's weapons program exceeded all expectations. As evidence from the compound reached global authorities, Maria found herself at the center of a worldwide investigation into chemical weapons development. Jake, our initial analysis was just the surface, Thompson reported from the newly established command center. These weren't just toxins. They were designing smart contaminants, compounds that could target specific demographics based on genetic markers. Maria worked alongside international experts, her understanding of agricultural systems proving invaluable. The cartel wasn't just mapping water flow. They were developing ways to control who the toxins affected. Look at these test zones. They could poison one community while leaving others untouched. Lieutenant Chen analyzed data from seized research computers. Sir found their development timeline. Phase 1 was agricultural disruption. Phase 2 was population control. They were creating designer plagues disguised as natural contamination. Through the command center windows, Jake watched as military convoys brought more specialized equipment. Chemical weapons experts from a dozen countries converged on the valley, each recognizing the devastating potential of what the cartel had created. The implications are staggering, a UN weapons inspector explained. They've developed delivery systems that could contaminate entire regions while appearing to be normal agricultural operations. No one would suspect bioweapons hidden in irrigation. Equipment. Maria studied test results with growing understanding. That's why they targeted our farm. The Rodriguez fields connect to every major aquifer in the valley. They weren't just testing toxins, they were mapping the perfect distribution network. Your documentation exposed more than their research, Jake told her. You revealed how they turned legitimate agriculture into a weapons delivery system. That knowledge could help protect water supplies worldwide. Through secure channels, Chen reported alarming discoveries. Sir, their buyer list includes state-level actors. Some governments were secretly funding research into ethnically targeted water contamination. The compound's research facility revealed horrifying sophistication. Beyond drug labs and weapons caches lay cutting-edge bioengineering equipment. The cartel had assembled world-class scientists, perverting their expertise toward mass destruction. They recruited experts by claiming agricultural research, Thompson explained, reviewing personnel files. Chemists, geneticists, hydrologists, all thinking they were developing better farming methods. By the time they realized the truth, they were too compromised to escape. Maria worked with environmental teams, her knowledge of local ecosystems crucial for understanding contamination patterns. These compounds don't just poison water, they alter soil chemistry, change how plants absorb nutrients. They were developing ways to make entire regions permanently uninhabitable. Jake coordinated with international security forces. The cartel wasn't just selling weapons, they were creating a new form of warfare. Control the water, control the population, make resistance impossible through basic survival needs. Through the facility's labs, more evidence emerged of the program's true scope. Each discovery revealed how thoroughly the cartel had corrupted agricultural science, turning life-giving knowledge into tools of death. "Sir," Chen reported, "found their marketing materials. They weren't just selling weapons, they were selling the ability to control entire regions through water supply. Manipulation, perfect for governments wanting deniable population control." Maria helped authorities understand the research's agricultural implications. Look at these crop death patterns. They weren't random. They were designed to create dependent populations. Communities would be forced to accept contaminated water or face starvation. Thompson coordinated with global intelligence agencies, getting reports of similar research facilities worldwide. The cartel was franchising their technology, creating a network of water-based weapons development. Jake watched international teams document the facility's equipment. His tactical experience recognized something crucial. The cartel had created weapons that exploited civilization's most basic vulnerability, the need for clean water. The genius was in the simplicity, a NATO specialist explained. No bombs, no armies, just gradually poison the water supply. By the time anyone realizes, entire regions are compromised. Through secure comms, Chen reported a development. "Sir, local farmers are sharing traditional water purification techniques. Knowledge passed down through generations is helping identify contaminated sources." The investigation revealed how the cartel had studied indigenous water management practices, not to preserve them, but to understand how to defeat them. They documented centuries of agricultural wisdom to learn how to destroy it. But they overlooked something crucial, Maria noted. These traditional methods, they're not just about water. They're about communities working together, sharing knowledge, protecting each other. That's what their research couldn't corrupt. Thompson coordinated cleanup efforts across the valley. "It's becoming a race. We need to understand their weapons, program to prevent replication, while simultaneously cleaning up existing contamination." Jake observed the collaboration between international experts and local farmers. The cartel had tried to use agricultural knowledge for destruction, but now that same knowledge was being reclaimed for healing. "You see what's happening?" he asked Maria. "They thought controlling water meant controlling people, but they never understood that true power comes from communities sharing resources, not hoarding them." Through tactical channels, Chen reported, "Sir, fascinating development. Local elders are teaching scientists about traditional water testing methods. Techniques passed down for generations are helping identify contaminated sources faster than chemical tests. The investigation had exposed a terrifying new kind of warfare, the weaponization of basic human needs. But it had also revealed humanity's greatest defense, the unbreakable bonds of communities protecting their shared resources. Water connects all life, Maria explained to international observers. The cartel tried to use that connection for control, but they forgot that human connections are stronger than any weapon they could develop. As teams worked to cleanse the valley's water supply, Jake recognized a profound truth. The cartel had assembled brilliant scientists, unlimited resources, and cutting-edge technology. Yet they were being defeated by farmers sharing ancient wisdom about water protection. That's why their weapons program failed, he told Thompson. They studied water systems but ignored human systems. They never understood that true resilience comes from people working together, not technology working against them. Through the facility's windows, Jake watched more local communities join the cleanup effort. Each farmer brought traditional knowledge. Each family shared resources. Each community contributed to healing the land. The cartel had tried to turn water, the source of all life, into a weapon of control. Instead, they'd awakened something far more powerful, the indomitable spirit of people united to protect their most precious resource. Because in the end, the Azteca cartel had made the most fundamental miscalculation possible. They'd assumed that power came from controlling resources, from developing ever more sophisticated weapons. They never understood that real strength flows not from technology or terror, but from communities standing together, sharing wisdom, and refusing to let their source of life become a source of death. And as the valley's waters began to run clean again, purified by the combined efforts of modern science and ancient knowledge, it proved what every farmer in the region had always known, that the strongest force on earth isn't the power to destroy, but the power to nurture, protect, and help life flourish once more. The battle for the valley's soul entered a new phase as cartel remnants launched desperate counterattacks against the communities working to reclaim their water sources. But they discovered something unexpected. Farmers who had once lived in fear now stood their ground with unshakable resolve. Multiple hostile groups converging on cleanup sites, Chen reported through tactical channels. Cartels trying to disrupt decontamination efforts. But where they expected to find vulnerable civilians, they encountered organized resistance. Maria had helped coordinate a network of local defenders, applying her uncle's tactical training to protect their restoration work. They still think this is about force, she told the gathered farmers, as they prepared defensive positions around key water treatment stations. But we're not just protecting wells anymore, we're fighting for our future. Jake watched with pride as his niece transformed agricultural knowledge into strategic advantage. She'd taught the farmers to use their intimate understanding of the land, every ridge, every water crossing, every hidden path, to outmaneuver cartel forces. "Sir," Chen reported with admiration, "local defense teams are using irrigation channels as tactical routes. They're moving between positions completely unseen, just like we taught them." Thompson coordinated with federal forces. Cartel hit. Teams are finding every ambush spot they knew compromised. These farmers aren't just defending, they're actively controlling their territory. Through the command center windows, Jake observed a remarkable transformation. Communities that had once hidden from cartel violence were now organizing with military precision, protecting their water sources with the dedication of elite soldiers defending critical infrastructure. They're not just fighting with weapons, Maria explained to international observers. We're using generations of agricultural knowledge. Every farmer knows how water flows through this land. Now we're using that knowledge to protect it. The cartel had expected to find broken communities, too devastated by water poisoning to resist. Instead, they encountered an unbreakable alliance of modern tactical training and ancient agricultural wisdom. "Sir," Chen reported from the field, "remarkable adaptation here. Farmers are using traditional water divination techniques to predict cartel movement patterns. They know exactly where groups trying to sabotage wells will have to stop for water." Jake studied satellite feeds showing cartel forces repeatedly frustrated by terrain they thought they controlled. They mapped every water source in this valley for their weapons program. Now that same research is being used against them. Maria coordinated defense teams with natural confidence, combining her uncle's combat lessons with her inherited understanding of the land. The cartel studied our water systems to destroy them. We studied them to sustain life. That's why we're stronger. Thompson reported increasing cartel frustration. They can't understand why their tactics aren't working. These aren't just random farmers anymore. They're organized, disciplined, fighting with real purpose. Through secure channels, Chen described the evolving situation. "Sir, local defenders aren't just protecting wells. They're actively decontaminating water sources, restoring natural flow patterns, rebuilding what the cartel tried to destroy." The valley had become more than a battlefield. It was a testament to human resilience. Communities weren't just resisting. They were actively healing their land while defending it. "You see what's happening?" Jake asked Maria as they observed another failed cartel attack. "They thought poisoning your water would break your spirit. Instead, it awakened something they can't defeat, the absolute determination to protect what matters most." Local defenders had transformed agricultural tools into defensive equipment. Irrigation systems became early warning networks. Crop patterns provided cover and concealment. Traditional water-finding techniques exposed cartel supply vulnerabilities. "Sir," Chen reported with professional appreciation, "these farmers are applying tactical principles we never taught them. They're using their knowledge of water management to control the battlefield." Thompson coordinated with intelligence agencies. Cartels losing momentum. Their own research into the valley's water systems is being used to predict and counter their movements. They mapped every spring, every aquifer. Now those maps are helping communities defend them. Maria worked with international experts, showing how traditional farming methods could detect water contamination faster than chemical tests. Our ancestors learned to read the land's warnings. Now we're teaching others to recognize what the water tells us. Through the command center, Jake watched communities unite in ways the cartel hadn't thought possible. Farmers shared resources and knowledge. Ancient wisdom merged with modern tactics. The valley's people had found strength in the very connections the cartel tried to poison. They thought controlling water meant controlling us, a local elder explained. They never understood that our connection to this land, to each other, is stronger than any weapon they could create. Chen reported from defensive positions. "Sir, fascinating development. Farmers are using traditional songs about water flow to coordinate movements. Cartel radio interceptors can't understand the coded messages hidden in ancient lyrics." The investigation had exposed how thoroughly the cartel had studied the valley's water systems, but they'd missed something crucial: the unbreakable spirit of people whose lives were intertwined with the land's waters. "This isn't just about defending wells anymore," Maria told gathered communities. "We're fighting for something bigger, the right to live in harmony with our land, to protect the water that connects all life." Jake recognized something powerful emerging. The cartel had tried to use water as a weapon of control. Instead, they'd awakened an ancient strength. Communities united by their sacred responsibility to protect the sources of life. "Sir," Chen reported with quiet awe, "these people aren't just fighting back. They're reviving traditional water ceremonies, sharing ancestral knowledge, strengthening cultural bonds while defending their resources." Thompson coordinated with environmental teams. The cleanup isn't just removing toxins. Communities are restoring traditional water management practices, making their systems more resilient against future threats. Through the valley, a transformation was taking place. People weren't just resisting cartel violence, they were actively reclaiming their heritage as guardians of the water, protectors of the life-giving flows that sustained their land. "You know why we're winning?" Maria asked a group of young defenders. "Because we're not just fighting against something, we're fighting for everything that matters: our homes, our heritage, our sacred responsibility to protect these waters." Jake watched his niece lead with natural authority, embodying the perfect blend of tactical knowledge and cultural wisdom. She'd shown her people that true strength came not from weapons or violence, but from unwavering dedication to protecting what was precious. "The cartel studied water to learn how to destroy," she explained to international observers. "We study it to learn how to preserve, protect, and help life flourish. That's why we'll always be stronger." Through secure channels, Chen reported a beautiful sight. "Sir, communities are organizing water blessing ceremonies after clearing each contaminated well. They're not just reclaiming resources, they're restoring sacred connections. Because, in the end, the Azteca cartel had made the most profound miscalculation possible. They'd assumed that power came from the ability to destroy. They never understood that true strength flows from the dedication to protect, the wisdom to preserve, and the courage to stand together as guardians of life's most precious gift." And as the valley's waters ran clean once more, blessed by ancient ceremonies and protected by unwavering resolve, it proved what these communities had always known: that the greatest power isn't the ability to poison waters, but the commitment to keep them pure for generations yet to come. The captured cartel research facility revealed one final, devastating secret. Buried in encrypted files, investigators discovered plans for what they called Operation Ghost Spring, a coordinated attack designed to permanently destroy North America's major aquifers. "Jake, this goes beyond anything we imagined," Thompson reported, her voice tight with urgency. "The water poisoning in Maria's Valley wasn't just a test, it was a dress rehearsal for something much bigger." Maria studied the technical diagrams with growing horror. Her understanding of water systems helped her grasp the terrifying elegance of their plan. They mapped connection points between every major aquifer. One synchronized attack could contaminate groundwater across an entire continent. Lieutenant Chen analyzed tactical projections. Sir, they weren't just developing weapons. They were creating a doomsday scenario. Poison the right wells with these engineered toxins, and within months the contamination would spread underground, making whole regions uninhabitable. Through the facility's windows, Jake watched specialized teams rushing to process evidence. The cartel hadn't just threatened a single valley. They developed the capability to destroy the fundamental resource that sustained civilization. The technology is revolutionary, a CDC expert explained. These compounds don't just contaminate water, they self-replicate, spreading through underground channels, multiplying their effect with each passing day. Maria worked with hydrologists, combining her farming experience with their scientific knowledge. Look at these flow patterns. They studied how prehistoric rivers shaped the land. They were going to use ancient waterways to spread modern poisons. Your valley was chosen for a reason, Jake told her. Its complex aquifer system mirrors major groundwater networks. They perfected their technique here before planning the larger attack. Through secure channels, Chen reported alarming discoveries. Sir, found their target list. Every major agricultural region in North America. They weren't just attacking water, they were planning to destroy our ability to grow food. The research facility's deepest level contained a sophisticated command center. Wall-sized screens displayed real-time data from water monitoring stations across the continent. The cartel had created an underground intelligence network focused solely on exploiting water vulnerabilities. They infiltrated water management agencies, Thompson explained, reviewing personnel files, planted operators in environmental organizations, built a shadow infrastructure to coordinate the perfect storm of contamination. Maria helped authorities understand the agricultural implications. These toxins don't just poison humans. They're designed to alter soil chemistry permanently, make land sterile, turn fertile regions into dead zones that can't support life. Jake coordinated with military commands across North America. This isn't just a law enforcement issue anymore. We're looking at a potential extinction-level attack on our continent's water supply. Through the facility's databases, evidence emerged of an operation decades in the planning. The cartel had patiently gathered data, developed technologies, and positioned assets for a single devastating strike at civilization's most basic need. Sir, Chen reported, found their timeline. Operation Ghost Spring was scheduled to launch in 3 months. If Maria hadn't exposed their valley operation, Maria worked with international water security experts, her knowledge of traditional farming providing crucial insights. Our ancestors understood how water systems connect everything. The cartel studied those same connections to learn how to destroy them all at once. Thompson coordinated with defense agencies. Every major command center is mobilizing. This goes beyond borders. It's about protecting the fundamental resource that sustains human life. Jake watched teams process the facility's research data. His combat experience recognized something profound. The cartel had developed weapons that could defeat any army by simply destroying the water they needed to survive. The strategy was brilliant, a military analyst admitted. No need for armies or bombs. Just poison the right wells with self-replicating toxins, then wait as contamination spreads underground. Victory through invisible warfare. Through secure comms, Chen reported a hopeful development. "Sir, traditional water preservation techniques Maria shared with us. They're helping develop countermeasures. Ancient wisdom about protecting springs is inspiring modern defense strategies." The investigation revealed how thoroughly the cartel had studied water's role in human civilization. They documented every vulnerability, mapped every connection, prepared to transform life's most basic need into a weapon of mass extinction. But they made one crucial mistake, Maria noted, reviewing their research. They studied water as a resource to control. They never understood it's actually a gift we're meant to protect. That's why their weapons can be defeated. Thompson coordinated with environmental agencies. The knowledge we've gained defending Maria's Valley, it's helping create protocols to protect water sources continent-wide. Sometimes the smallest battles teach us how to win the largest wars. Jake observed indigenous water experts consulting with military planners. The cartel had tried to use ancient knowledge for destruction, but now that wisdom was being embraced, to protect life instead. "You see why this was never just about one valley?" he asked Maria. "By standing up to them here, you exposed a threat to all life. Your courage did more than save your home. It might have saved our entire civilization." Lazy through tactical channels, Chen reported, "Sir, communities across North America are mobilizing to protect their water sources. Maria's story is inspiring people to become guardians of their local waters." The investigation had exposed humanity's greatest vulnerability, our absolute dependence on clean water, but it had also revealed our greatest strength, the unshakable determination to protect the sources of life itself. "Water isn't just a resource," Maria explained to government leaders. "It's the connection between all living things. When we defend it, we're protecting the very foundation of life on Earth." As teams worked to dismantle Operation Ghost Springs infrastructure, Jake recognized a powerful truth. The cartel had developed the perfect weapon against civilization, yet they were being defeated by people's fundamental commitment to protecting what sustains us all. "That's why their plan failed," he told Thompson. "They thought controlling water meant controlling life. They never understood that life itself fights back against anything that threatens the waters that sustain it." Through the facility's windows, Jake watched more communities join the fight to protect Earth's water sources. Each person brought unique knowledge. Each culture contributed wisdom about preserving life's most precious resource. The cartel had tried to turn water, the fundamental basis of all life, into a weapon of mass extinction. Instead, they'd awakened humanity's most powerful instinct, the absolute determination to protect the sources of life itself. Because in the end, the Azteca cartel had made the most profound miscalculation in human history. They'd assumed that power came from the ability to destroy what sustains us. They never understood that the strongest force in nature is life's unwavering drive to protect, preserve, and ensure the waters of Earth continue to flow clean and free. And as communities across the continent united to defend their water sources, it proved what every ancient culture had always known, that the greatest power isn't the ability to destroy life's foundations, but the commitment to stand as guardians of the waters that connect all living things in an unbreakable web of existence. The discovery of Operation Ghost Spring triggered unprecedented international cooperation. As nations realized the scale of the threat to Earth's water systems, ancient rivalries gave way to a unified mission, protecting humanity's most precious resource. "It's remarkable," Thompson reported from an emergency UN session. "Countries that were on the brink of war last week are now sharing water protection technologies. The cartel's plan to destroy us has actually united us." Maria found herself addressing world leaders, her simple farmer's wisdom cutting through political complexity. "Water doesn't recognize borders," she told them. "The same streams that nurture my roses flow through every nation. We must defend them together or lose." Everything. Lieutenant Chen coordinated a global security response. "Sir, military forces worldwide are integrating traditional water protection methods with modern defense systems. Maria's Valley is becoming the model for a new kind of environmental security. Through secure channels, intelligence agencies shared crucial data. The cartel's attempt to weaponize water had exposed vulnerabilities in every nation's infrastructure. But it had also revealed an unexpected strength, humanity's capacity to unite against existential threats. "Look at these satellite feeds," a NATO commander highlighted. "Communities that fought for generations over water rights are now working together to protect shared aquifers. They've realized that divided we're vulnerable, but united we're unbeatable." Maria worked with international experts, combining agricultural experience with advanced technology. "Our ancestors understood water's sacred nature," she explained. "Now we're using that wisdom to create new ways of defending it." Jake watched global defense forces adopt tactics developed in Maria's Valley. "The cartel thought attacking water would destroy civilization," he observed. "Instead, they've inspired the greatest cooperative effort in human history." Through tactical networks, Chen reported inspiring developments. "Sir, traditional water ceremonies are being incorporated into military protection protocols. Science and spirituality working together to defend life's most basic need." The operation had expanded far beyond law enforcement. Every major nation contributed resources, expertise, and personnel to a unified mission, ensuring Earth's water systems remained safe for future generations. "We're seeing something unprecedented," Thompson explained to world leaders. "The cartel's plan to poison humanity's wells has actually strengthened the bonds between peoples. We're remembering that water connects all life." Maria helped coordinate international response teams, her understanding of natural water systems proving invaluable. "Each culture has its own methods of water protection," she noted. "By sharing that knowledge, we create something stronger than any weapon." Jake recognized a profound transformation in global security thinking. "The cartel forced us to see water as our greatest vulnerability," he told military commanders. "But in defending it together, we've discovered our greatest strength." Through secure channels, Chen reported remarkable adaptations. "Sir, indigenous water guardians are training special forces in ancient protection methods. Modern soldiers learning thousand-year-old wisdom about preserving life sources." The investigation had revealed humanity's absolute dependence on clean water. But it had also awakened something powerful, our capacity to transcend differences when protecting what sustains us all. "Look at these cooperation patterns," Thompson highlighted. "Nations that never shared intelligence are now creating joint Water defense systems. The threat to one has become a mission for all. Maria worked with global environmental teams, showing how traditional farming methods could detect contamination that eluded modern sensors. Every culture has gifts to share, she explained. Together we're stronger than any force that threatens our waters. Through command centers worldwide, Jake observed an unprecedented mobilization. Military forces, environmental agencies, indigenous guardians and local communities all united in a single purpose: protecting Earth's water systems. "Sir," Chen reported, receiving real-time data from water protectors globally. Traditional knowledge combined with modern technology is creating an unbreakable defense network. The operation had evolved beyond stopping one cartel's plan. It had become humanity's declaration that water, the fundamental basis of all life, would be defended by all peoples, using all wisdom with all resources. "You see what's happening?" Maria asked world leaders. "The cartel tried to turn water into a weapon of division. Instead, they've reminded us that water is our strongest connection to each other." Through secure communications, Thompson shared inspiring updates. Communities worldwide are declaring their waters protected by all peoples. Ancient enemies are becoming allies in defense of life's most precious resource. Jake watched global military forces adapt to a new kind of mission. Instead of training to destroy, they were learning to protect. Rather than dividing peoples, they were uniting them in defense of shared waters. "The cartel studied how to poison humanity's wells," he told international commanders. "But they never understood that attacking water would awaken humanity's strongest instinct, the drive to protect what sustains all life." Through tactical channels, Chen reported a beautiful transformation. "Sir, water blessing ceremonies from different cultures are being shared across borders. People are discovering that all traditions honor water's sacred nature." The investigation had exposed how vulnerable modern civilization was to water-based attacks, but it had also revealed our greatest defense: the ability to unite across all boundaries when protecting life's foundation. "This isn't just about stopping one threat," Maria explained to global leaders. "It's about remembering that water connects all life. When we defend it together, we strengthen every bond between peoples." Jake observed military forces learning from indigenous water guardians, modern soldiers embracing ancient wisdom about protecting life's sources. The cartel had tried to use water to destroy civilization. Instead, they'd inspired its greatest evolution. "Sir," Chen reported with pride, receiving confirmation from every major nation, they're not just sharing water defense technology, they're sharing cultural wisdom about living in harmony with Earth's waters. Because in the end, the Azteca cartel had made the most profound mistake possible. They'd assumed that attacking water would destroy humanity's connections. They never understood that threatening our most precious resource would actually strengthen the bonds between all peoples. And as nations united to protect Earth's waters, it proved what indigenous cultures had always known: that the greatest power isn't the ability to destroy what sustains us, but the wisdom to protect it together, transcending all boundaries in defense of life itself. Through this crisis, humanity had rediscovered its most fundamental truth: that water doesn't just sustain life, it connects all living things in an unbreakable web of mutual dependence. In defending it together, we weren't just protecting a resource. We were honoring the sacred bonds that make us one human family. The remaining cartel leadership, realizing the scope of international response to Operation Ghost Spring, launched a desperate final offensive. But this time they faced something unprecedented, a unified global defense network inspired by a young farmer's courage. Multiple hostile formations detected, Chen reported through worldwide tactical channels. Cartels mobilizing everything they have left. They're targeting major water protection sites across 3 continents. Maria coordinated from the International Command Center, her agricultural knowledge now enhanced by military training. They're not just attacking random targets, she observed, studying movement patterns. They're trying to trigger the contamination. Protocols we exposed. Turn our own defense systems against us. Thompson linked with global response teams. Confirmed activity at every major aquifer protection site. They're attempting to activate sleeper agents within water management agencies. But where the cartel expected to find vulnerable infrastructure, they encountered a new kind of defense. Communities worldwide had transformed water protection into a sacred mission, combining modern technology with ancient wisdom. "Sir," Chen reported with satisfaction, "cartel strike teams are being intercepted by local water guardians. These aren't just security forces, they're people defending their most precious resource." Through the command center's global feeds, Jake watched an extraordinary response unfold. Indigenous water protectors coordinated with military units. Traditional blessing ceremonies strengthened modern defense protocols. Every culture contributed its unique wisdom to a unified mission. "They still don't understand what they're fighting," Maria told international observers. "This isn't about weapons or tactics anymore. It's about humanity remembering its fundamental role as guardians of Earth's waters." The cartel had launched their offensive with military precision, expecting to overwhelm isolated defense points. Instead, they found themselves facing an interconnected network of protectors, each site reinforcing the others. "Remarkable adaptations," Thompson noted, tracking global response patterns. Communities are using water itself as a defense system. They're redirecting flows, activating ancient waterways, turning the cartel's own research against them. Through secure channels, Chen reported inspiring developments. "Sir, water blessing ceremonies are being conducted at every major defense point. Military units are integrating traditional protective rituals into their operations." Jake recognized something profound in the worldwide response. The cartel had tried to use humanity's dependence on water as a weakness. Instead, they'd awakened our species' deepest strength, the ability to unite in defense of life itself. "Look at these coordination patterns," Maria highlighted to defense leaders. "Every culture has its own methods of water protection. By combining them, we're creating something the cartel can't defeat, a defense system based on life's fundamental unity." Thompson tracked the cartel's growing desperation. They're trying to trigger their contamination protocols, but finding their access points blocked by both technological and spiritual defenses. Modern security enhanced by ancient wisdom. Through global tactical networks, Chen reported a beautiful sight. "Sir, communities are conducting water ceremonies before each defensive operation. Different cultures sharing their traditional blessings, strengthening both morale and tactical coordination." The final battle wasn't just about stopping the cartel's attack. It had become humanity's declaration that water, the foundation of all life, would be protected by all peoples, using all wisdom with all resources. You see what's really happening? Maria asked world leaders. The cartel tried to turn water into a weapon of destruction. Instead, they've helped us remember it's our strongest connection to each other and to all life. Jake watched military forces worldwide embrace a new kind of mission. Instead of fighting for territory or resources, they were united in defending the fundamental basis of life itself. "Sir," Chen reported with quiet awe, receiving confirmation from every major defense point, communities aren't just repelling attacks. They're conducting healing ceremonies for the waters, strengthening the spiritual barriers against corruption. The cartel's offensive had exposed something they never expected: humanity's capacity to transcend all differences when protecting what sustains us all. This isn't just about stopping one threat, Maria explained to global commanders. It's about remembering our species' most fundamental responsibility, being guardians of Earth's sacred waters. Through secure channels, Thompson shared remarkable updates. Water protection ceremonies from different cultures are being exchanged across borders. Ancient wisdom combining with modern defense technology to create something entirely new. Jake observed military units learning from indigenous water guardians, modern soldiers embracing traditional wisdom about protecting life's sources. The cartel had tried to use water to destroy civilization. Instead, they'd inspired its greatest evolution. The cartel studied water to learn how to corrupt it, Maria told international observers. We study it to remember our role as its protectors. That's why we'll always be stronger. Through tactical networks, Chen reported beautiful transformations. "Sir, defense points are becoming centers of cultural exchange, different traditions sharing their water protection methods, strengthening both physical and spiritual security." The final battle revealed something profound about human nature. When faced with threats to what sustains all life, we're capable of transcending every boundary, uniting every wisdom, and awakening our species' deepest strength. "You see why they could never win?" Jake asked global leaders. They thought attacking water would destroy our connections. Instead, they've helped us remember that water connects all life in an unbreakable web of mutual dependence. Maria coordinated worldwide defense operations with natural authority, embodying the perfect blend of traditional wisdom and modern capability. She'd shown humanity that true strength comes not from weapons or violence, but from unwavering dedication to protecting what's sacred. "Every culture honors water's life-giving power," she explained to international forces. "When we unite those traditions, we create something no weapon can defeat, a defense system based on life itself." Through secure channels, Chen reported the cartel's final defeat. "Sir, their offensive has completely collapsed. They're finding every attack point protected by both physical and spiritual defenses. Humanity united is unbeatable." Because in the end, the Azteca cartel had made the most profound miscalculation possible. They'd assumed that threatening water would destroy human civilization. They never understood that attacking life's most precious resource would actually awaken humanity's greatest power, our capacity to unite across all boundaries in defense of what sustains us all. And as communities worldwide celebrated their waters running clean and free, protected by both ancient wisdom and modern dedication, it proved what indigenous cultures had always known, that the greatest strength isn't the ability to destroy, but the commitment to stand together as guardians of life's most sacred gift. The cartel's final offensive had failed, not because of superior weapons or tactics, but because they'd helped humanity remember its most fundamental truth, that water connects all living things in an unbreakable web of existence, and in defending it together, we honor the sacred bonds that make us one human family. 1 year after Operation Ghost Spring's defeat, Maria Rodriguez stood in her family's flower fields, watching sunrise paint the Sonora Valley in vibrant colors. The roses bloomed more beautifully than ever, nourished by waters that now flowed, clean and protected by a new kind of global guardianship. "Hard to believe it all started here," Jake observed, visiting his niece during a break from training new water protection units. One young farmer noticing something wrong with her well, and now look what it's become. Through their valley, evidence of transformation was everywhere. The old Cartel compound had been converted into an international water protection training center, where military forces learned alongside indigenous guardians to defend Earth's most precious resource. "Sir," Chen reported through secure channels, receiving remarkable statistics from the Global Water Defense Network. Contamination attempts down 90% worldwide. Communities aren't just defending water sources, they're actively healing damaged systems. Thompson coordinated from the new United Nations Water Protection Council. The program Maria inspired has become a model for global cooperation. Nations that fought for generations over water rights are now working together to protect shared aquifers. The Rodriguez farm had evolved too, becoming a living laboratory where traditional agricultural wisdom merged with modern science. Experts from around the world came to learn how ancient farming methods could detect water threats that eluded sophisticated sensors. "You see that field?" Maria pointed to a section of roses displaying unusually vibrant colors. "We're using traditional companion planting techniques to naturally filter groundwater. The flowers tell us immediately if something's wrong with the aquifer." Jake watched teams of international students learning from local farmers. The cartel had tried to use agricultural knowledge for destruction. Now that same knowledge was being shared globally to protect life. "Sir," Chen reported with satisfaction, "indigenous water ceremonies are now standard protocol at all major defense installations. Military units worldwide have embraced the spiritual dimension of protecting Earth's waters." Through the training center's windows, Maria observed a beautiful sight. Soldiers from formerly hostile nations conducting water blessing ceremonies together, sharing their culture's traditional methods of honoring life's most precious resource. "The cartel never understood what they were really attacking," she told a group of visiting officials. "Water isn't just a resource to control, it's the sacred connection between all living things. When you threaten that, you awaken something they couldn't defeat." Thompson shared inspiring updates from across the globe. Communities are rediscovering their traditional water protection methods, combining ancient wisdom with modern technology. What started in one valley has become a worldwide movement. The investigation had led to profound changes in how humanity viewed water security. Instead of treating it as infrastructure to defend, nations now approached it as a sacred trust to protect. "Look at these satellite feeds," Jake highlighted to military commanders. "Every major aquifer is now guarded by both physical and spiritual defenses. Modern security enhanced by traditional wisdom about water's true nature." Through secure channels, Chen reported beautiful developments. Sir, water blessing ceremonies from different cultures are being exchanged across borders. Communities are discovering that all traditions honor water's life-giving power. Maria worked with international experts, showing how generations of farming knowledge could strengthen modern protection systems. Our ancestors understood water's sacred nature, she explained. Now we're using that wisdom to ensure it stays pure for future generations. The training center had become a symbol of humanity's evolution. Military forces learned alongside environmental guardians. Scientists worked with traditional healers. Every culture contributed its unique wisdom to a unified mission. This is what real victory looks like, Jake told his students. Not defeating enemies, but creating something they can't destroy. A worldwide commitment to protecting what sustains all life. Through global networks, Thompson shared remarkable statistics. Water-related conflicts down by 80%. Nations are realizing that sharing protection methods creates stronger bonds than fighting over resources. Maria guided another group through the flower fields, showing how traditional farming techniques could detect environmental threats. Every plant, every creature, every drop of water is connected, she explained. When we remember that, we become unbeatable. The valley had become more than a training ground. It was a living example of humanity's capacity to unite across all boundaries when protecting what matters most. Sir, Chen reported with pride, receiving confirmation from every major nation. The water protection protocols developed here are being adopted worldwide. Maria's vision has become global reality. Jake watched indigenous water guardians teaching military units about traditional protection methods. The cartel had tried to use water to destroy civilization. Instead, they'd inspired its greatest advancement. You see what really happened. Here? He asked international observers. They thought attacking water would break us apart. Instead, they helped us remember that water connects all life in an unbreakable web of mutual dependence. Through the training center's halls, Maria led discussions about integrating different cultural approaches to water protection. Every tradition has gifts to share, she explained. When we combine them, we create something no weapon can defeat. Thompson coordinated with global security forces. The network keeps growing stronger. Communities worldwide are declaring their waters protected by all peoples, using all wisdom, with all resources. The valley's transformation proved something profound about human nature. When faced with threats to what sustains all life, we're capable of transcending every boundary and awakening our species' deepest strength. This is why the cartel never had a chance, Maria told visiting leaders. They studied water to learn how to destroy. We study it to remember our role as its protectors. That's the power they couldn't defeat. Through secure channels, Chen reported inspiring developments. Sir, former cartel facilities worldwide are being converted into water protection centers. Places that once threatened life are now dedicated to preserving it. Because in the end, Operation Ghost Spring had revealed humanity's most fundamental truth, that water doesn't just sustain life, it connects all living things in a sacred web of existence. In defending it together, we weren't just protecting a resource. We were honoring the bonds that make us one human family. And as new generations learned to become guardians of Earth's waters, the Sonora Valley stood as testament to an eternal truth. That the greatest power isn't the ability to destroy what sustains us, but the wisdom to protect it together, transcending all boundaries in defense of life itself. The roses in Maria's fields bloomed more vibrantly than ever, nourished by waters that now flowed clean and free, protected by both ancient wisdom and modern dedication. They proved what her family had always known, that life's greatest strength grows not from weapons or violence, but from unwavering commitment to preserving what's sacred for all who share Earth's precious waters. 5 years after Operation Ghost Spring, the Sonora Valley's transformation had inspired a global renaissance in humanity's relationship with water. Maria Rodriguez, once a simple flower farmer, now addressed the United Nations as director of Earth's newly established Sacred Waters Initiative. What began in our small valley has awakened something extraordinary, she told world leaders. Communities aren't just protecting water sources, they're rediscovering ancient wisdom about living in harmony with Earth's life-giving flows. Through secure channels, Chen reported from the Global Water Defense Network, "Sir, we're seeing unprecedented healing in previously contaminated regions. Places the cartel poisoned are now thriving sanctuaries, protected by both technology and tradition." Thompson coordinated international response teams. The integration of indigenous knowledge with modern science has created something revolutionary. We're not just preventing threats, we're actively regenerating damaged ecosystems. Jake watched his niece address the world's most powerful leaders with natural authority. She embodied something the cartel could never understand, the power that grows from protecting life rather than destroying it. "The roses in our valley tell a story," Maria explained, showing images of the Rodriguez farm's legendary blooms. "Each flower represents the triumph of life over those who tried to poison it. They grow more beautiful because they're nourished by waters we've learned to keep sacred." Through training centers worldwide, a new generation of water guardians emerged. Military veterans worked alongside environmental protectors, combining tactical expertise with deep ecological wisdom. "Sir," Chen reported from a former cartel compound-turned-healing center, remarkable developments in water purification. Communities are using traditional methods to detect contamination before our most advanced sensors can spot it. The Sacred Waters Initiative had transformed how humanity approached environmental defense. Instead of treating water as a resource to exploit, nations now recognized it as a living system to protect and honor. "Look at these restoration patterns," Thompson highlighted to international observers. "Regions that were once dead zones are coming back to life. The cartel's weapons of destruction have been defeated by tools of regeneration." Maria guided world leaders through projects that merged ancient wisdom with modern innovation. "Every culture has its own ways of honoring water," she explained. "When we combine these traditions, we create protection systems that work with nature instead of against it." Jake coordinated with global security forces, who now approached their mission with profound respect for water's sacred nature. "The strongest defense isn't about force," he told new recruits. "It's about understanding that we're protecting the very essence of life itself." Through secure networks, Chen shared inspiring developments. "Sir, former conflict zones are becoming centers of cooperation. Nations that fought over water rights are now working together to preserve shared aquifers." The Rodriguez farm had evolved into an international research center where scientists studied how traditional farming methods could enhance modern environmental protection. "These flowers don't just detect water quality," Maria explained to Visiting experts, they teach us about resilience, about how life adapts and thrives even after the worst contamination. Each bloom is a message of hope. Thompson reported from global monitoring stations, "The healing keeps spreading. Communities are rediscovering their traditional water ceremonies, sharing protection methods across cultures, creating networks of mutual support." The Sacred Waters Initiative had sparked something profound, a remembrance of humanity's fundamental connection to Earth's life-giving flows. "Sir," Chen observed from training facilities worldwide, "we're seeing a beautiful integration. Military units conduct water blessing ceremonies before operations. Scientists work with traditional healers. Every wisdom tradition contributes to our shared mission." Maria worked with international teams, showing how ancient agricultural knowledge could strengthen modern defense systems. "Our ancestors understood something crucial," she explained. "Water isn't just a resource. It's the living connection between all beings." Through global networks, Jake coordinated a new kind of security force, guardians dedicated to protecting Earth's waters using both physical and spiritual means. "This is what real power looks like," he told international commanders. "Not the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to preserve what sustains all life." Thompson shared remarkable statistics. Water-related conflicts have virtually disappeared. In regions adopting these integrated protection methods, communities are discovering that sharing sacred knowledge creates stronger bonds than fighting over resources. The Sonora Valley had become a living symbol of humanity's evolution, a place where the wounds of the past were transformed into foundations for a more harmonious future. "Look at these restoration projects," Maria highlighted to global leaders. "Every healed spring, every purified aquifer, every regenerated ecosystem proves that life's power to restore is stronger than any weapon of destruction." Asalva. Through secure channels, Chen reported a beautiful transformation. "Sir, communities worldwide are declaring their waters protected by ancient wisdom and modern dedication. Places once poisoned by the cartel are becoming sacred sites of healing." Jake watched another group of international guardians complete their training, having learned to defend water sources using both tactical skill and spiritual understanding. "You see what's really happening?" he asked new recruits. "We're not just protecting resources, we're remembering our species' fundamental role as guardians of Earth's sacred waters." The Sacred Waters Initiative had revealed something profound about human potential. When we approach environmental defense with reverence for life's interconnected nature, we awaken powers no weapon can defeat. "This is why the cartel's weapons failed," Maria explained to world leaders. "They tried to use water's connecting power for destruction, but those same connections are now spreading healing faster than they could ever spread poison." Through global networks, Thompson shared inspiring updates. Communities are rediscovering traditional methods of water protection, combining ancient ceremonies with modern technology. What started as defense has become a worldwide movement of regeneration. Indeed, the valley's transformation stood as testament to humanity's capacity for positive change. Where the cartel had tried to spread death, life now flourished with unprecedented vigor. "Sir," Chen reported with quiet joy, receiving confirmation from every major watershed. The healing methods developed here are being adopted globally. Maria's vision of sacred water protection has become Earth's new reality. Because in the end, Operation Ghost Spring had revealed humanity's deepest truth, that our greatest strength isn't the power to destroy, but the wisdom to protect and restore life's sacred connections. And as waters worldwide ran clean and free, guarded by both ancient wisdom and modern dedication, they proved what Maria had known all along, that the most beautiful blooms grow not from violence or control, but from humanity's unwavering commitment to preserving what sustains us all. The Rodriguez roses, more vibrant than ever, stood as living symbols of this truth. Each petal, nourished by protected waters and tended with sacred knowledge, declared that life's power to heal would always triumph over any force that threatened Earth's precious flows. A decade after Maria Rodriguez first discovered the cartel's poisoned wells, she stood before the newly established Global Council of Water Guardians, her presence a testament to how one person's courage could transform the world. Today we celebrate not just our victory over those who tried to poison Earth's waters, she addressed the gathered leaders, but our species' awakening to a deeper truth, that we are all guardians of life's most precious gift. The Rodriguez farm had become legendary, its roses blooming with unprecedented vibrancy in soil once targeted for destruction. But these weren't just flowers anymore. They were living symbols of humanity's capacity for regeneration. Each bloom tells a story of resilience, Maria explained, leading international diplomats through fields that drew visitors from across the globe. They grow more beautifully now because they're nourished by waters we've learned to keep sacred. Through secure channels, Chen reported from the Global Water Defense Network's new headquarters, "Sir, the transformation continues to spread. Former conflict zones are becoming sanctuaries of cooperation. Ancient enemies now work together to protect shared waters." Master Sergeant Jake Torres, now leading the world's first integrated water protection force, watched with pride as his niece's vision reshaped humanity's relationship with Earth's most vital resource. "You know why this worked?" he asked a new class of international guardians. "Because we stopped thinking about water as something to control. We remembered it's something to serve and protect." Thompson coordinated with healing centers worldwide. The regeneration keeps accelerating. Communities aren't just preventing contamination, they're actively restoring watersheds poisoned generations ago. The former Cartel compound, once a symbol of destruction, had been transformed into the world's center for sacred water studies. Here, military leaders learned alongside indigenous wisdom keepers, creating protection systems that merged ancient knowledge with modern innovation. Most remarkable, Chen observed, is how different cultures strengthen each other's methods. Japanese water blessing ceremonies enhance Native American purification rituals. African rain dances complement European spring protection traditions. Maria worked with scientists studying how traditional farming techniques could detect environmental threats that eluded modern sensors. "Our ancestors understood something profound," she explained. "Every plant, every creature, every drop of water speaks to us if we remember how to listen." Through global networks, Jake coordinated a new generation of defenders who approached their mission as a sacred trust. True strength, he taught them, isn't about having the most powerful weapons. It's about having the deepest commitment to protecting what sustains all life. The Sonora Valley had become a pilgrimage site for those seeking to understand humanity's evolved relationship with water. Where cartels once planned destruction, people now gathered to learn about regeneration. "The flowers show us the way," Maria told visiting leaders. "Each species has its role in keeping waters pure. When we work with nature's wisdom instead of against it, we become unbeatable." Thompson shared inspiring statistics. Water-related conflicts have been replaced by cooperation in every region, adopting these integrated protection methods. Communities are discovering that sharing sacred knowledge creates stronger bonds than fighting over resources. Through secure channels, Chen reported beautiful transformations. "Sir, former battlegrounds are becoming peace gardens. Places once poisoned by hatred now flourish with life-giving waters protected by all peoples." The World Center for Sacred Water Studies had become a symbol of humanity's evolution, a place where tactical expertise merged with spiritual wisdom, where science enhanced tradition, where ancient knowledge strengthened modern innovation. "You see what's really happening here?" Jake asked international observers. "We're not just protecting resources, we're remembering our species' fundamental role as guardians of Earth's sacred waters." Maria guided another group through the valley's restoration projects. Each healed spring, each purified aquifer, each regenerated ecosystem proves something profound, that life's power to restore is stronger than any weapon of destruction. Through global networks, Thompson shared remarkable developments. Communities worldwide are rediscovering their traditional water protection methods. What started as defense has become a movement of worldwide regeneration. The Sacred Waters Initiative had revealed something extraordinary about human potential. When we approach environmental protection with reverence for life's interconnected nature, we awaken powers no weapon can defeat. This is why the cartel's weapons failed, Maria explained to world leaders. They tried to use water's connecting power for destruction, but those same connections are now spreading healing faster than they could ever spread poison. Chen reported from restoration sites worldwide. "Sir, the transformation continues to amaze. Places once dead from contamination are becoming fountains of new life. The healing methods developed here have gone global." Jake watched another class of international guardians complete their training, having learned to defend water sources using both tactical skill and spiritual understanding. "You know what makes these protection systems unbeatable?" he asked them. "They're not based on fear or force. They're based on love. Love for the waters that give us life. Love for the communities we serve. Love for the future we're protecting." The Rodriguez roses had become renowned worldwide, their unprecedented beauty attributed to waters now guarded by both ancient wisdom and modern dedication. But Maria knew their true secret. "These flowers don't just grow in clean water," she explained to visiting leaders. "They grow in waters made sacred by humanity's awakened commitment to protecting them. Each bloom celebrates our species' remembrance of its true role." Through global networks, Thompson shared statistics that once seemed impossible. Water-related conflicts have virtually disappeared in regions adopting these integrated protection methods. Communities are discovering that sharing sacred knowledge creates bonds stronger than any weapon. The valley's transformation stood as living proof of humanity's capacity for positive change. Where cartel weapons had tried to spread death, life now flourished with unprecedented vigor. "Sir," Chen reported with quiet joy, receiving confirmation from every major watershed. The healing methods developed here are being adopted globally. Maria's vision of sacred water protection has become Earth's new reality. Because in the the cartel's attempt to weaponize water had revealed humanity's deepest truth, that our greatest strength isn't the power to destroy, but the wisdom to protect and restore life's sacred connections. And as waters worldwide ran clean and free, guarded by both ancient wisdom and modern dedication, they proved what Maria had known all along, that the most beautiful blooms grow not from violence or control, but from humanity's unwavering commitment to preserving what sustains us all. The Rodriguez roses, more vibrant than ever, stood as living symbols of this truth. Each petal, nourished by protected waters and tended with sacred knowledge, declared that life's power to heal would always triumph over any force that threatened Earth's precious flows. In the end, a young farmer's courage had not just saved her valley, it had helped humanity remember its most fundamental truth, that we are all guardians of the sacred waters that connect all life in an unbreakable web of mutual dependence and care. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.